As year one of the Kalen DeBoer era in Tuscaloosa approaches, what is the most important game of the 2024 season for the Alabama Crimson Tide? Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Phillips of SEC Unfiltered. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn on notifications. Check us out via podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find us across all social media platforms, as well as our website, SECUnfiltered.com. The following is brought to you by our friends over at RHOBACK. Guys, go to RHOBACK.com, use promo code SECU to get 20% off your first purchase. That's RHOBACK.com, promo code SECU to get 20% off today. As year one of the Kalen DeBoer era in Tuscaloosa approaches, I pose the question, what is the most important game of the 2024 season for the Alabama Crimson Tide? And guys, when I say most important, the game that has the potential to sway the season one way or another, the game that when I look at the schedule, I deem this is as much a must-win for this program as it can get. So, as we look at Kalen DeBoer's first schedule, his first slate of games that he will take on as the head man at Alabama, I think there's a lot of different directions that you can go here. I think most folks are going to look at this schedule, guys, and when they talk Alabama football and reaching the ultimate goal, which is this year, getting to the college football playoff, right? There's no more divisions. You don't have to necessarily win the SEC anymore, although that is the standard and the expectation that Nick Saban has set in Tuscaloosa. I think most folks are going to gravitate towards that game against Georgia. The SEC opener, and I agree, it is a huge tone setter for Kalen DeBoer. I think we're going to learn a lot about Jalen Milroe. We're going to learn a lot about this football team. We're going to learn a lot about this program and where they are. Because, of course, if you can upset Georgia, and yes, it would be considered an upset because Georgia, I think, right now sits about a touchdown favorite in that game. I would only expect that number to lean more to Georgia as we get closer to that game. So I think a lot of people will identify that game against Georgia. And guys, hey, here's the thing. You win that game, the effect it's going to have on your season, the positive effect will be massive. But again, what you have to keep in mind, no more divisions, and you don't have to win the SEC to get in the playoffs. So you've got some wiggle room, right? So even if Bama falls to Georgia, which again, I don't think would be something to be ashamed of because I think the Dogs are one of the best teams, if not the best team in college football entering this season, there wouldn't be shame in losing to the Dogs, and you would still have wiggle room in regards to you can still make a college football playoff even with a loss in that game. You go later in the season, I think a lot of folks are going to identify that game at LSU, and certainly that is a big one as well, guys. I mean, that's one that, again, we're getting late in season. Your college football playoff hopes could be on the line in a game like that. And, of course, we talk about the back and forth with Bama, LSU. Although, guys, Alabama has had a lot of success in Baton Rouge. I think if you haven't watched this game every year, you don't know the history of the rivalry, the Bama, LSU. I think you'd be really surprised, actually, with the stats, the numbers, and just how much success Alabama has had down there on the Bayou. You can look at Oklahoma late in the year, the Auburn game as well. But, guys, when I look at Alabama's 2024 season, when I look at the schedule and you think about what the expectations are, get into the college football playoff at minimum, right? And that, guys, moving forward is going to be deemed a successful season. It just is, right? Like winning the SEC championship, it is still something you want to achieve. It is still something you want to strive for, especially at a place like Alabama. Like winning the SEC title is still very, very, very important. But guys, as long as you get to the college football playoff and you've got a shot to win the national title, that's what matters, right? Like that's what's really important moving forward. That's just the new reality of college football. So Alabama can go 10-2, still have a really successful season. I think that would be a successful season in year one of Kalen DeBoer. But the game that I circle as the most important game for the Alabama Crimson Tide in 2024, it is the third Saturday in October, the showdown against the Tennessee Volunteers in Neyland. And here's why, guys. Again, you got Georgia at home. That one's going to be difficult. At LSU late in the season, flip a coin. Oh, by the way, you also host Missouri, and you got to go to Oklahoma. There are landmines on this schedule. But that game at Tennessee, right there in the middle, I think that could be that swing game that could determine your college football playoff fate. I think that is a game that, win or lose, it could dictate whether we see Alabama in the 2024 college football playoff or not. I think also you think about it, guys, from the perspective, year one for Kalen DeBoer, right? What's really important? It's important at Bama. It's important to the stops. Winning rivalry games matters, right? And Alabama fans have not forgotten what happened 2 years ago in Neyland Stadium. So all of a sudden, if Alabama were to go back into Knoxville and drop this ball game, you feel a sudden sort of shifting of the tides, no pun intended, right? You feel this shift that Alabama football is not what they once were, not even close to it, right? The aura of Nick Saban has gone, right? And all of a sudden, Alabama football appears much more mortal than they once were. So I think, guys, when you look at where it falls in the schedule, right, you're probably going to have a loss to Georgia. I'm not saying it's a guarantee, but I'd be willing to say that's probably going to be a loss to Georgia, right? Going into the back half of your schedule with games against Mizzou, games against LSU, games against Oklahoma, haven't even mentioned the Iron Bowl against the Auburn Tigers. I think Tennessee is one of those 50-50 games for Bama that you absolutely must win if you are going to make a 12-team college football playoff. And I think for year one, for Kalen DeBoer, you want to show people, hey, we're going to be able to win these rivalry games, win these tough swing games on the road, especially that game at Tennessee. It is going to be one of the most hostile environments we see, not just on Bama's schedule, not just in the SEC, but in college football this season. You know, Neyland is going to be an absolute madhouse to welcome Kalen DeBoer to his first Bama-Tennessee matchup. So when I look at this schedule, guys, what's on the line with a 12-team college football playoff, what Alabama is trying to achieve this year, that game, the third Saturday in October at Tennessee, I see it as the most important game on Alabama's schedule in the 2024 season. Guys, that's going to do all for me. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn on notifications. Check us out via podcast wherever you get your podcast. You can also find us across all social media platforms, as well as our website, SECUnfiltered.com. Until next time, guys, I'm Chris Phillips of SEC Unfiltered. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in, and we'll catch you on the other side.